good afternoon and good morning. I want to welcome everybody as we're in the middle of a three-part firm series where we're meeting with three unique firms who are on the forefront of providing compliance, sales and use tax services, and comprehensive sales and use tax services to their clients. They're truly considered to be thought leaders in the sales tax space, as well as in the profession. We are in part 2 of the series, and the final episode will be 2 weeks from today, October 21st, at the same time. I'm excited today, as I've been really looking forward to our discussion, and I want to welcome Mo Huda from Moss Adams. Mo is joining me today to share with our audience the Moss Adams sales and use tax story, providing his insights, his best practices, and sharing his experiences and advice to our audience. Mo, welcome, and thank you for joining me today in our discussion. I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for inviting us. We're really glad to be part of this discussion. I'm Mo Huda, Senior Manager of Sales and Use Tax out of our Dallas office. I co-lead our Sales and Use Tax compliance practice, and our Center of Excellence is out of LA.
Thank you, Mo. I want to start our discussion this afternoon, Mo, around sales tax and the idea that sales tax isn't new, and especially not new to Moss Adams. Historically, you guys have really focused your services, specifically your sales and use tax services, in the advisory area. However, recently, the firm has expanded that focus to offer sales and use tax compliance to customers, specifically customers with high volume of filings. I'm curious to gather, why did the firm feel now was the right time to place this additional focus on compliance services?
As a middle market focused firm, we have seen a number of trends that have driven our focus to expand the compliance practice. Tremendous growth in the technology and e-commerce sectors over the last 3 to 4 years. We have a really robust transaction services practice where we help PE firms and strategic buyers to mitigate sales tax related risk surrounding sales tax compliance for their portfolio companies. Wayfair case also has dramatically increased the demand for sales tax compliance. And lastly, the COVID has also positively shifted the growth in e-com and tech sectors that solidified our business decision that we took earlier.
No, I think this is a great point, Mo. And as I consult with firms, I hear that kind of that perfect storm between the Wayfair legislation and then as well, what's happening currently with the pandemic and how that, we're seeing that increase in client demand due to that, essentially that perfect storm. So as we look at the delivery of your services, we know that the delivery of compliance services differs greatly from that of your advisory services. I'm curious, what internally have you done at Moss Adams to build out, to streamline, and to create greater efficiency in your compliance practices? And then to that point, what role does technology play in those efficiency gains?
Our key focus was to design a process that leverage technology and efficiency to support few core competencies. So we wanted to make sure that our Center of Excellence and the processing center stays in the US. And we want to make sure that our data also stays in the US and is always safe, our clients' data. We wanted to bring the automation and efficiency in the process as much as possible so that we can streamline some of these processes. We wanted to be data agnostic, so we can take any of our clients' data source and take those data and prepare the sales tax return. So our clients can be in Vertex, Avalara, TaxSure, Sovos, or any other ERP technology platform to calculate their sales tax, and we can take that source data and prepare the return. We wanted to have the ability to quality review clients' data within the system. We also wanted to create a process, a well-defined process, so that we can educate our clients and on the timeline, on the steps, so we can coordinate efficiently without having a lot of manual movements within the process. And then lastly, we wanted to make sure that we have the ability to give our clients the efficient model that they can deploy and work with us. So for example, a couple of things that really helped us with this efficiency process One thing we did is we actually established a standard data template, an import template. So when we give this to our clients, they're constantly working with us to make sure that the data is streamlined in a standardized format. And we can take that data from all our clients and efficiently prepare their returns. The second thing is we made sure that they know that, okay, we have to have the data by a certain time. So that gives us a well-defined process internally, so we can take that data, prepare the returns, and give them our liability worksheet and approval for their approval in a timely manner, so that we can actually prepare the returns and fund the returns. And lastly, and most importantly, our partnership with CPA.com and Vartex has helped us utilize their technology platform and automation that works behind the scene, and where we can focus on delivering our high value compliance services to our clients.
I really value the conversation around technology, and I think this is an important insight from you, Mo. And I can only imagine that your clients are relying on your firm to help in that technology area. So as your clients continue to kind of rely on Moss Adams as that trusted advisor, and in that trusted advisor role, how is your firm helping to prepare and guide clients and helping them understand what technology they need in place to solve the challenges that they have with sales and use tax today?
Yeah, so our key focus is to help them select the most efficient sales tax system that really fits their need. So every client has their unique requirements, and they're in a different stages of their state and local tax adoption journey. And we focus on that and make sure that we're connecting them with all the technology providers that are out there that can provide that solution. And we know each technology provider has certain strengths and abilities. And we invite them all to have a conversation with our client and let them evaluate which can be a better fit for them, and help them guide through the process. So as a trusted advisor, we help them from the selection process and all the way to the sales tax compliance for the go-forward basis.
Again, excellent insight into kind of your processes, what you've put in place, and how you've built out this successful compliance practice. I want to kind of go back to the beginning of our discussion, Mo, because we had talked a lot about, historically your focus being in the advisory services area. Can you talk to me a little bit about, how have you leveraged those services, those advisory level services, into your compliance discussions with your clients?
Yeah, as a national full-service CPA firm, we're really fortunate to have a very strong bench strength in state and local tax practice area. We have close to 100 solid practitioners all across the nation. So our key focus is to serve the growth-oriented middle market firm, our segment. And our clients are generally in the early stages of the state and local tax adoption process. So our workflow and our service model works around identifying their entire state and local tax related risk. So we collaborate and collectively figure out, okay, where our clients has that risk profile and where they need the immediate mitigation strategy. So we can help them with the nexus analysis, taxability analysis, system selection process for the go forward basis, and also mitigate their existing or historical risk through the voluntary disclosure or other tools that are available. So as we have helped our clients through this adoption process, we become part of or extension of their team in most cases, because we're constantly helping them not only for their identifying the problem, but solving the current problem. And also that has driven tremendously in the growth of our sales tax compliance practice, because then after the solution is completed, we identify the risk, we just transition to the compliance model.
Absolutely. And I think this just shows the growth that you guys have had in terms of offering full service sales and use tax service, but also hearing and recognizing client demand by expanding out into those compliance services. But I think what to me is probably the most exciting and most interesting part of this is that from a Moss Adams perspective, you really have been able to expand into these sales and use tax compliance services and roll out these new services to your clients, honestly, at a time when firms and staff have had to pivot to remote work. I'm curious, how is that shift, that shift from the pandemic and the remote work shift impacted the growth that you've seen in this new service offering?
We've actually seen growth through this process because the whole pandemic has short-circuited our communication process through Zoom or WebEx, and the technology has played a huge role in creating an efficient communication protocol. So now we're able to actually communicate across the globe in different time zones and different offices. So before, let's say from the starting evaluation through the compliance adoption onboarding would have taken close to 3 months. Now we can really have the first discussion and we can onboard our clients right around 8 weeks time frame. And our initial discussion is also very efficient because now let's say we have our parties are in West Coast, East Coast, in 4 different locations. Before we had to plan out for all parties to be involved or for an on-site meeting, but now we can just get on a Zoom call and discuss it and deploy the solution pretty efficiently. So I think we have seen tremendous growth after this, because after the obviously pandemic, because now we're working from home, and that created our engagement team to collaborate with our clients more efficiently, and that has established a platform to move things pretty quickly now. So it's been pretty positive for us.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, again, it's exciting to see a firm have the success that you guys have had in terms of rolling out these new services, expanding your practice, especially at a time when there is uncertainty out there, and seeing that success and hearing that success story is so important and so valuable for us to share. I want to close out our discussion, Mo, thinking about our clients and thinking about what are the clients going through. Especially, we talked about kind of that perfect storm towards the beginning of this discussion between the Wayfair case and the ruling that came out there, and then as well kind of what we're seeing with the pandemic and how we're seeing that increase or their uptick in client demand. So oftentimes as we talk to clients, we can hear kind of the intimidation around sales and use tax, or that idea of they don't know what they don't know. What advice do you have for a client who's currently evaluating their sales tax options, or really starting their sales tax compliance journey, and maybe feeling unsure about what are the next steps that they should be taking at this time?
The great news is that the challenges are not as bad as it appeared to be initially. So as long as our clients understand that they have to engage a state and local tax professional as soon as possible, that helps them mitigate or understand their risk profile. So the sooner they do that, the better off they are. So my recommendation is, as you are starting your state and local tax adoption journey, invite a state and local tax professional to review that process and provide you with guidance and a workflow and a framework so that you can not only mitigate, if any, historical risk, but also ongoing compliance requirements. And the reason it's important, you may internally think that, okay, I'll just give you a quick example. You may think that you're going to register and in one state or 2 jurisdictions, whereas you may have some historical risk there. So a state and local tax professional will be able to tell you or guide you that, hey, it's better off if you take the voluntary disclosure route, because through that program, you might be able to abate a penalty, in some cases, interest. So some of those nuances can be complicated. So it's important to have a state and local tax professional on the table as soon as possible. And also, it takes time. So the sooner you start addressing these issues, the better off you are in outlining a mitigation strategy and deploy that over the course of 8 to 12 weeks, and sometimes it can take 6 months. And second, I think it's important to, if you are selecting a compliance partner, you need to really look into if that is a good fit or not. If you're in the early adoption stage, obviously you probably don't have a robust sales and use tax team or a tax team in most cases, and you may not have a great understanding of some of the sales tax nuances. So in those cases, I recommend to work with a high-touch, high-value state and local tax practitioner that can guide you through this process in the compliance workflow. Now, if you have a robust sales and use tax team, you know your data very well. And in those cases, a automated sales tax compliance partner can be a really great fit. So you have to evaluate how your strengths and weaknesses are as you select your compliance service provider within your organizational data points or team structure. And lastly, I think it's important that you should talk to one of your colleagues within your industry who has gone through this adoption cycle, because they may have some great insight for you to really follow on and take advice from and execute on.
Mo, I think this is great advice. Just the idea of having that partner and then, also having a peer that you can rely on. I think that's great advice for any client that might be kind of unsure, unknown, or uncertain in terms of what their next steps are. So it's a wonderful advice. Mo, I've really enjoyed our discussion today, and I want to thank you again for sharing your firm's story, providing your insights to our audience. This has been a fun discussion, and I think a very valuable discussion for the profession.
Marian, thank you for having us. Again, we're really glad to be part of this discussion, and thanks to CPA.com and AICPA, our AICPA family, for inviting us to be part of this. I think this is a great platform for our clients and other CPAs to understand that sales tax compliance is a really great way to expand their practice and serve our clients, and it is a value-added service as well.
Well said. Well said. To our audience, before we close out, please set a reminder for our final session, our final live session in this series. It is scheduled for 2 weeks from today. That's Wednesday, October 21st, same time, so 12:30 Eastern. We'll be speaking with the SALT practice leader at Wipfli, a firm that's out of the Midwest, and we're very much looking forward to sharing that discussion as well as part of the series. Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.